Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jane Morgan, and I'm the Investor and Media Relations Manager here at LinQ Minerals. Following our successful IPO process, which attracted very strong demand, LinQ closed the initial public offering early. I'm pleased to announce that we are listing on the ASX today at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time under the ticker code LNQ. I am joined by our Executive Chair, Clive Donner, who's going to be providing a company update and will also share the company's upcoming exploration plans. Clive, I'm going to hand to you.
Thank you, Jane, and good morning to all of you. Let's talk about the project. So as Jane said, we closed early and we're listing today noon Eastern Standard Time. We're looking forward to that. Just to give you some background on the project again, we own 100% of the project. We have 5 exploration licenses. The project itself has not been publicly visible for 4 decades. It's been fragmented in ownership, buried in public companies and fractured tenement ownership as a result of lower copper prices and generally you can see today what's happened to copper and gold, and people are chasing porphyry. So we've really put the southern part of this belt together, plus we acquired the central and part of the southern belt and northern belt from a mining company a couple of years ago, and we've been working on the data room and getting ready for primarily exploration expenditure in the central and southern zones. We'll talk a bit about that later. We do have 16,000 meters of planned drilling coming up over the next year. The valuation is very attractive in our view. It's $15 per EV ounce, based only on the Brownfields gold project in the southern zone only. We're in great location, Tier 1, Macquarie Arc, in the Lachlan Fold Belt, home to Cowal, North Parkes and Cadia, which are very large operating mines. Strong team, we'll talk a bit about that later, and a significant scale. We currently have over 500 million tons of JORC resource, 3.7 million ounces of gold and 1.2 million tons of copper. And these resources are predominantly open in multiple directions, along strike and at depth. And we'll show you a little bit of that in this presentation. We also have this Brownfields project, which is quite unique. We're in a porphyry belt and we have an attractive epithermal gold project, which was last mined in 1996 and currently has an ore body of about 1.7 million ounces of gold and 200,000 tons of copper. That is a MRE JORC resource. So we're very excited to look at that and drill that out as well. And lastly, we have a very valuable infrastructure that runs adjacent to the project. Within 5 km of the project, we have road, rail, power and water. And we're bounded by 2 towns, Temora and West Wyalong, inland of New South Wales. If you look at the location, essentially we're in the southern part of the Macquarie Arc on the western limb between West Wyalong and Temora. And to the north of us, we've got 2 very large operating mines, North Parkes and Cowal. And then well to the east of us, we have Cadia, which is a very large, globally renowned project. So this area is a hotspot. There's been an enormous amount of gold inventory found and discovered in this region. It's a hotspot for M&A. We've just seen Newmont acquire Newcrest, etc., and Evolution acquire North Parkes. And the workforce is also quite attractive because West Wyalong is really a town full of mining people. Evolution have their base there. So it's very attractive work proposition for people rather than fly in, fly out. And lastly, we do have obviously exposure to two really great metals, copper and gold, and the upside is enormous because gold is running very, very hot at the moment, and everybody believes and hopes that copper is the next metal to run. So very attractive, lots of upside potential exposure to those two metals. Just following on from the Macquarie Arc theme, it is a hotspot. You can see all the companies involved in drilling in the Macquarie Arc. Very few of them, of the exploration companies anyway, have any resources. Those that do have very small resources. We have a very large resource, as I mentioned earlier, and we're sitting down here in a really good part of that belt. That's the belt with all the targets and deposits on. It's basically 60 kilometers of tenement belt, of which 40 kilometers from Yida in the north to Gidjabung in the south are actually dotted with deposits and targets. And we'll take you through some of those shortly. So we have a database of 40 years of geological investment and drilling, study information. It's had 470,000 meters of drilling with the replacement cost today in excess of $125 million. We've updated the MRE, JORC MRE update in August 24, and we do have some historical pit optimizations and some porphyry met test work. So we're in a very good position to move forward with that. I'd like to just show you that we have some very attractive drill intercepts that have previously been drilled on this property. If you look at the three in red, Gidjabung, Dam, and Mandama, those are three of our 6 JORC resources. And the others in green, Gidjabung North Fields, Gidjabung North Mag H1, Donington, and Monza, are not in our resource base and are really interesting targets for us. And we will take you through some of these. But if you focus on the gold highlighted ones, Gidjabung, for example, 40 meters at 2.8 from 80 meters, 101 at 2.1, 34 at 3.3 grams, 11 at 2.7. And then you look at Gidjabung North, beautiful, fantastic thicknesses and strong grades, 25 meters at 9, 16 at 2, 14 at 6.4, 9 at 2.7, etc. This is all in the same area within 5 kilometers of each other. So that southern zone is really shaping up for us to be a fantastic target for further exploration. The dam, which is about 700-800 meters east of Gidjabung, it sits down here. You can see it there. That has it's a porphyry. It's roughly half copper, half gold. And you can see some of the drill intercepts at the dam are spectacular. 167 meters at 1 gram gold and 0.7 copper. That is an enormous hole. If you look at Monza and Donington, likewise, they've got fantastic hits. Monza, 150 meters at 1% copper, 0.75 gold, relatively shallow. That includes nearly 13 meters at 9% copper and 6 grams per ton gold. And likewise, Donington, attractive. And then Mandama, very strong, wide grade intercepts, all trending towards 1% copper plus. So this ground has thrown up really good results, and we're going to extend and re-drill and drill some of these extensions to the targets and deposits, and we'll be releasing drilling results throughout the year, be strong news flow, and be very exciting. In terms of where we're drilling and what we're doing, the current program is admission today on the ASX, Next week, we'll be mobilizing and finalizing the driller's contract, and we should be on the ground 3 weeks after that. That's the mobilization time that we expect to get the rigs on the ground. So essentially, we'll be drilling for the whole year, the next 12 months. And you can see the two areas where we're going to focus our drilling in the south at Gidjibang and the dam. And then in the central zone, we've got a cluster of pencil porphyries that we're very excited about drilling. I'm going to show you a few long sections in the central zone and then move to the southern zone. If you look at the central zone and look at Mandama, which is a resource, a JORC resource of around 30 to 40 million tons, you can see this thing is very attractive. We've got great grades, it's open at depth, and we're going to drill this target quite substantially in the next 6 months, next 3 months actually. So, 150 meters at 0.8, 63 meters at 5.5, 105 at 0.9, 40 at 2.4, very attractive grades. I should mention that copper grades today of around 0.5 head grade, 0.5% head grade, is the global average, I believe, for open pittable copper. And if you look at all the porphyries in South America, which are elephants and giants, and even in Australia, head grades of 0.5 are being mined and down to 0.4, maybe lower. And Cadia, for example, is around that, and it is 1.9 kilometers deep. So porphyries go forever, and it's really about getting started. So having good grades close to surface is very attractive. And all those porphyries in Australia and in fact in South America would have started as open pittable mining way back decades ago, and they're still going. So Mandama is a very attractive prospect, a JORC resource that will be drilling out. Donington is not a resource. And we could get a resource there with some further drilling. It's open in multiple directions, very exciting target. It's been drilled to 700 meters, and you can see the sheeted quartz veining over here, which is very attractive and very interesting to geologists who believe this could mean that we're actually close to a potential intrusive, which is what you'd be chasing when you're drilling for porphyries. So very exciting project. This one, it's only 1 kilometer away from Mandama, and it's had no drilling between the two targets. Monza, another central area pencil porphyry. This one is open in multiple directions, and it's interesting because it's actually not just got a very, very high grade hit, or hole 150 meters at 1% copper and 0.75 grams per ton gold, but it also includes nearly 13 meters at 9% copper and 6 grams per ton gold. And that's pretty shallow. It's around here. So if you look at the core, the breccia core, the gold breccia core has been, shown in this top corner. It turbocharges the gold and copper grades, and we want to really find more of this in this particular target. And geologically, we're unsure of why these breccias are occurring. So a very interesting target for us. And then now I'd like to go down to the southern zone, Gidjibang and the dam. This is Gidjibang, that's the dam. These two form about 55 million tons of JORC resource at roughly a gram gold or 0.7 copper equivalent. And the two are about 600-700 meters apart and will form a basis of our sphere of interest and a potential pathway to production down the track, subject, of course, to further drilling, test work, and feasibility work. So This is a really interesting area for us because there's a 6 kilometer strike, and you can see that there's an arc transfer across here, which is similar to what Cadia has. And along that arc transfer, we've actually got 3 other targets, Fields, Mag H1, and Woolshed, that are all very attractive for following up. Fields, if you look at those grades, 25 meters at 9 grams, 16 at 2, 3 meters at 5.6. These are all shallow. Same with Mag H1, 14 at 6.4, 9 at 2.7, etc. So there's a lot of work to do here, and we've got a great potential opportunity to look at these two in great detail. I'll show you some long sections in the next couple of slides, and that'll hopefully turn the lights on. This is just a brief slide showing the 3 zones. There's the southern zone, the central zone, and the northern zone, and they're essentially different based on different geology. And I'm not going to go into the sort of detail, but essentially we're lucky to have the entire belt of different geological systems and settings. And we can't focus everywhere with capital priority, and so we're really going to focus on the central and southern area, the southern area in particular because of the goldfields, the brownfields. Gold project at Gidgibung offers us a very attractive opportunity because A, it's been mined before, and B, it's got limited infrastructure, and we can get access all year round to that project. This slide shows you that we have an extensive pipeline for exploration across the entire belt. The left-hand side are epithermal golds, and the right-hand side are copper porphyries, copper gold and moly porphyries. And the top of the triangle, we've got 6 resources. They JORC resources to current standard. We've got 2 advanced prospects, Monza and Donington, and then we've got a whole bunch of drill-tested prospects, which we'll follow up on. I showed you earlier, Mag H1 Fields and etc. And then we got a couple of concept studies where we drilling concepts where we believe north and south of Gidgibung are very attractive to drill. And we're talking about these 2 circles here. Now, for a variety of geological reasons, the northern side of Gidgibung, which coincides with the axis of where the dam structure is, and through some chemical and analysis and spectral data assessment, we believe there's strong potential to find a blind porphyry just north of Gidgibung. And to do that, we'd have to sink a couple of deep holes, and we will drill test that once we do some IP and get a better view on where we think those drills should be orientated. So very excited. Gidgibung, will show you, extends 1 kilometer, potentially south and north, and we'll go back to show you in a minute some of the long sections. So that's Gidgibung from an aerial view perspective. You could see that that's the pit full of water. It was on the front page. There are some infrastructure around it and tailings dams, etc., mineralized stockpiles, etc. The dam is about 600 meters, 700 meters to the east, and that's going to be the focus of our attention and drilling. Aerially, this is what Gidgibung and the dam look like, and at that axis here where they both of them meet, that's where we think there could be an exciting blind porphyry. There's been some indication of drilling, and the rocks are evidencing that 1 kilometer north and 1 kilometer south we still got vectoring. So interesting, this thing could be over 3.5 meters, 3.5 kilometers in length. And the dam likewise is open in both directions. The colors really represent different cutoff grades. You can see the brown and the red, which are the higher cutoffs, hang together very well. And you could see some of the drill intercepts of Gidgibung on the left and the dam on the right. Very attractive proposition and targets. This is a long section of Gidgibung, and you could see there's the base of the pit full of water. It's down to about 80, 90 meters, and you can see we're into the higher cutoff grade gold straight away. And in fact, it does come to surface either side of the open pit. So this is a very attractive opportunity for us. We know that the ore body continues below the 300-meter classification calculation of the current resource, and we're going to be testing the depth extensions and the extensions to the south of the target. This area here is where we believe there could be a blind porphyry, and these are the two holes that give us some capacity to feel we're in the right rocks in the right system, plus the spectral analysis data that we're working with. So you can see this looks very shallow, comes to surface, so that has an impact on costs, and we'll need to do some work around that. This is the dam, which is the adjacent deposit. This is a JORC deposit as well. You could see that the red and the brown higher grade cuts literally come close to surface. There's a 20 to 30 meter strip ratio there, and the ore body looks like it's plunging to the north. So again, drilling this out, and that's the intention. That's an isometric just showing the two side by side, and there's a lot left there and a lot of potential to drill in between those two. So that's very much the current update. In terms of drilling, we're going to be drilling the central zone, the southern zone. We'll be doing at least 16,000 meters in a mixture of RC and diamond, and we'll be doing drilling known mineralization and also infill drilling and extensional drilling of known JORC deposits and high-grade targets, high priority targets in the central zone. I would like to thank all the new shareholders and our existing shareholders for participating, and we're as excited as you are to get going with the drills. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Clive. I might even get you to stop sharing your screen and we can jump into a couple of questions that have come through. All right, this one came through actually a few times, particularly on the roadshow. So why have we not seen this project in the market before?
Well, Jane, it's an interesting question. It happens not infrequently in this industry where, you've had fragmentation in tenement ownership over a long period of time. This ground has been held by multiple majors going back 4 decades when the copper prices were half of what they are today and the gold prices were a third of what they are today, maybe less. So the majors were chasing high-grade copper, primarily porphyries, and the fragmented ownership really stopped it from being drilled and reviewed as a belt as a whole with an integrated ownership. So it wasn't until more recently that it became more consolidated about 10, 15 years ago, and we had ground to the south, and over time we put this together. We acquired the central and northern zones, and we now have one belt, contiguous targets, a large JORC resource, and we're essentially going to do justice to this because it's been buried also in middle-size mining companies that were really focused on other priorities. So it's coming to the market for the first time in this form.
And look, a couple of questions here just on the technical team. Just a little bit more, they're asking for a little bit more details of their experience and perhaps how you've actually picked the team.
Well, it's an interesting story because the best way to really move a project like this along that's had a lot of drilling is to really find geologists and the team that have actually spent time in this region and with this project. So we've got two geologists that both one spent 6 years on the project, Scott Munro, and I'm sure he's on this webinar. He's now our chief geologist. He lives in Mudgee, which is about 2 hours away from the project. And Ivan Jerkovic, who spent 10 years on this project, and he's now a consulting geologist for us, a technical consulting chief geologist for us. Between the two of them, they do understand the structures, the geology, what was drilled. They understand the 4 decades of database that we have. And so hopefully we won't be wasting money doing things that you would ordinarily might do when you acquire some ground. So Scott and Ivan are very valuable to us. John Holliday has joined the team. He's accredited with the discovery of Cadia and Marsden, and that's no mean feat. He was at Newcrest, and he was one of the earlier players in this district. In fact, Newcrest owned Gidjabung at one stage, and likely he'll have some strong views on where we could be drilling in the southern region, as would Scott and Ivan. So on the technical side, we've got a really strong, well-rounded geological team. And then on the veteran side, if you like, on the production side, we've got 2 strong technical people. Jeff Jones ran GR Engineering, which is a very successful large EPC contractor in Australia. A lot of mines under their belt. Jeff ran that, and he runs something similar for the Thiess Group now. Evan Kirby is a metallurgist of some 45 years experience. He, in fact, was the study manager at Bechtel when Bechtel was hired to help Newcrest commission Cadia for the first time. So that's some time ago, but most of the team have all had some affiliation with this project, or they've had some knowledge of strong knowledge of porphyries and the production side of porphyries. So very excited to have them all on board, and we're hitting the ground running.
Clive, I know you obviously touched on this in your presentation, but this question came through a little bit earlier. So why is the project unique?
Well, it's unique because it has scale. It's in 2 really great metals, copper and gold. It's got a brownfields gold project, which is quite unusual to have sitting in a porphyry belt. It's essentially, as I said earlier, been fragmented in ownership, and now is coming to the market for the first time. So we have an enormous footprint of porphyry targets, some 20 plus targets, plus 6 JORC deposits, all on a very valuable belt. And the rest of the Macquarie Arc is frenetically, the explorers anyway, are frenetically trying to find ground and targets and resources, and we've got them all. So 60-kilometer belt, very valuable.
And look, this question came from the same webinar attendee, but when are you likely to get on the ground?
We should be able to get on the ground 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks plus, straight after signing the contract with the drillers, which we intend to do next week.
I'm also just mindful that you do need to rush off because you have to ring the bell in about an hour. But just finally, what should investors be looking forward to from probably a news flow perspective over the next 3 to 6 months?
Lots of news flow. We've got drilling results that are going to be coming out. We're going to be testing targets, extension drilling underneath, infill drilling. So lots of news flow coming through over the next 12 months.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Clive. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, We are listing on the ASX today at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time under the ticker code LNQ. We're looking forward to a successful listing, and we hope to host you in the near future. But thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you all.